What happens when shame kills out of the blue? Welcome to Addiction in Movies. In A Star is Born, there's a moment that punches you in the gut, when Ali's manager corners Jack and tells him that he's holding her back.
You almost single-handedly derailed her whole career, you understand that?
Played to perfection by Rafi Gavron, you can always tell where the manager's real allegiance lies. At first glance, he's a great all-around guy, who is all about great artists and their music. But then the movie and acting masterfully show how at the end of the day, he subtly manipulates people into doing what he wants. Unfortunately, in the case with Jackson, what the manager is really saying is you're broken, you're a burden, you're the reason she suffers. And that is specifically what Jackson didn't need to hear at the time. This scene is hard to watch, not just because of what's said, but because of what it represents. It's the voice of a system that sees addiction as a weakness and suffering as an inconvenience. Jack has just come out of rehab. He was doing the hard work, but instead of support, he got pressure and guilt. The manager didn't push Jack off a cliff, but sure as hell took him to the edge. Admittedly, that doesn't seem to be his intention, but that is exactly what happened. I think, however, in the larger context of the story and the topic, this isn't just about one toxic person. It's about the world we live in, where people who struggle with substance abuse are blamed and shamed, even if quietly. Where getting clean is expected to fix everything, even though shame, trauma and mental illness don't magically disappear. Where men, especially older men, are told to be strong and silent, and then punished if they're not. This argument is not about demasculating men, but rather acknowledging that specific individuals sometimes have specific needs, and the system can be indifferent to that. Substance abuse is gender indifferent. That's why harm reduction isn't just about safe use. It's about emotional survival, it's about compassion. It's about making space for relapse, for grief, for healing. Accepting that the process of healing doesn't follow a straight line, because the deadliest part of addiction isn't always the substance, but what drives its use. The manager in my eyes is not a bad person, but an uneducated one who made a wrong judgment call, seeking what's best for himself. Unfortunately, that came at the worst time for Jack. This is how the system in general operates. So what do we do? Well, change always starts at the individual level, and hopefully one day as a society we can be better, more knowledgeable and more compassionate to people in need. Just like Jack.